Hey guys, welcome back to some more Outland. In this part, we're going to start exploring the Underworld, the second world in the game.
Kind of concerning when you're being sent to hell in the second world.
Yeah,
This
right.
game's soundtrack.
Because you go from a
This game's
jungle
soundtrack-
area
Where can
to
you go
this.
from there, right?
Yeah, although it's
This
not
game's
like hell,
soundtrack
though.
is so magical.
Yeah, no, the Outland soundtrack is really good. It's very atmospheric at times,
Mm.
and at other times it's just, it really gets you in the mood for the action.
Mm.
Trial of Tears is probably one of my favorite video game pieces after I played this game. It's just that good.
I remember
Just
watching.
that good.
I remember watching part of your playthrough that you did on your channel, and it actually does look a pretty interesting game.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, I'm very low on money at the moment. I'm trying to save up for this game I've just recently pre-ordered, and even I don't even know if I'm going to be able to buy it out or not. But
Yeah.
Remind me again, Lester, does this have a PC release?
Unfortunately, no. I really wish it was, because after I found out about the game in
This
2011,
game-
I wanted a PC version.
this game literally
Yeah.
looks like it belongs on Steam.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it
does.
could
it
play
has
on
a very
there.
Steam-like feel to it.
It was never released for PC, which always baffled me. Because
You could almost say it's a
probably why
steamy game.
if you can release
Well,
this
it
probably
didn't
game
have 3 in the
for-
title, so that's... I'm confused.
Yeah, if you can release this
Probably
game
why-
for the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, then it would make sense to also put it on the PC, just to cover all your bases. But I know kind of porting the game over sometimes will cause more budget to be put into the mix, so if that's the reason, that's understandable.
Yeah.
Do you think that explains why this game is so underrated?
Yeah, because not many
Because-
people played it.
It's not available to... Yeah.
Yeah,
Because the PC market is definitely a place that gets a lot of attention.
exactly.
So if you can get a game well-known on there, it definitely does spread.
I mean, sometimes it goes the other way around, like Castle Crashers was well known on the consoles, and it didn't get a PC release until, like, what, 2012? Which was about three
so, yeah.
years or so
Something like
after
that.
the original
Yeah.
release.
Roughly. Hmm.
Is this like a Metroidvania game or something?
No, it's your straight-out platformer. Just with Igaruga elements, so if you played that, you'd be familiar with the mechanic of the game.
Now, I
It
was
looks like-
going to say this before we recorded, but every time I hear you mention Ikaruga, I think you're mentioning Ika-chan.
No, it's not the same game.
Not the same game.
It
This
does
has
look
nothing
like
to
this-
do with a little squid, based
No.
on the... made by the same people who created Cave Story.
It looks like there's a little bit of level memorization to be had with this.
A
From what
little
I'm
bit if you
watching
want to go
so
through
far.
them fast and find a lot of money.
Hmm.
But also a lot of it comes from
Streetwise,
exploring.
yes, I would imagine so.
If you go out of your way to explore, then you'll be good to go. Because level memorization helps, but it's just exploring that's the major factor.
You know, it's not like Rayman where you need to know where everything is.
Yeah.
So, how did you hear of this game, actually? I don't remember hearing about this game anywhere, to be honest.
Yeah,
Hmm.
this
To
game...
be honest, I didn't hear about this game until I saw Josh Jepson's playthrough of it.
Exactly where I found it.
I
This
did-
game doesn't have that much
Adventures of
advertisement.
Manplan.
And yes,
I
I
didn't-
remember that playthrough. That was actually one of his better ones. The only thing I didn't like about it was how he ended it. That's about it. All the rest of it was
Hmm.
Yeah, I
pretty
didn't
good.
hear. I didn't hear of this game until Lester played through it on his channel. So,
Yeah. I wish this game had some more advertisement because it's actually a really good gem on the download markets for PSN and Xbox Live. That and
would you
also has a
prefer
pretty
this over
interesting
Castle
gimmick.
Crashers?
Not many games do this.
Well, Castle Crashers is the kind of, you know, scroll along beat 'em up game that is just a lot more fun with friends.
Yeah,
It's-
if you're playing that
so-
by yourself, it's not as fun. Trust me. I've been doing
Yeah.
a playthrough by myself, and I
But
have
on
not
the
been
other
enjoying
hand,
it
it's a
much.
pretty fun playthrough.
Those kind of games you
But
need
on
to
the
play.
At the same time, it's also a game where I cannot see what's going on.
Yeah, this kind of game you need to kind of play in HD and have it like full screen if you're watching it for that reason. The guy is really tiny, so playing on a bigger screen helps.
Oh, and he also blends into the background.
Exactly.
The background blends into the foreground because of how dynamic the shading is.
Which is why,
Do
if
they
it wasn't
all-
for the fact that I actually really enjoyed that co-op me and Jared did in this game, I would redo that playthrough just for the video quality alone. But it was a good playthrough, so it's staying.
And in the end, the
they-
fact that you had fun is the most important part.
And in fact, the
Yeah.
portion where we break our game a few times is the best part. I still can't get
Yes.
over just skipping
I
bosses
think
somehow.
I favorited that video. That was fantastic, that one.
Yeah.
I must have watched it. 6 times? Rewind, rewind, rewind.
Rewind. But yeah, what was I going to? Gosh darn it, I lost my train of thought.
That's what you get for making a Sir Lionheart reference instead of staying on the same track.
Yep, of course.
A what reference?
Sir Lionheart? Sir Ron Lion. I kind of remember
Whoever
the
the
name
guy
of the
is.
YouTuber name.
Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say now. Do they alter the level design when you're doing this by co-op, or is it the same?
It's the same level design, except it's a little harder with another person because the camera will always follow who you're playing as. So if
Yeah,
you're trying to
this is
keep
not the
track
kind
of
of
your
game
second player, it's hard.
And then there are the multiplayer challenges.
The multiplayer challenges are, yeah, the exclusive thing to co-op. But that's about it. And those are
This
pretty dang
doesn't look like
difficult.
the kind of. This doesn't look like the kind of game that I'd want to do a co-op of, especially since the only person who'd be willing to play with it, me in this game, in the household, is an 8-year-old brother.
Well, that's the
so-
thing. This is an online-only multiplayer, so you wouldn't be able to. Which is stupid,
Yeah.
and I honestly really, really still wanted them to make it local, like we said in the previous part. Because it's possible, except they just didn't design that part of it.
Well, that's good in the case of my brother not having to play with me on this.
Yeah, he won't be able to unless you hand him your controller and let him play.
The
Besides
same
that,
problem
you
that
won't be able
Scott
to.
Pilgrim now has.
Yeah, true.
Why would you make multiplayer DLC? That's just silly.
At least it gave
so
him
many
the
freaking-
online, but that's still stupid that you have to pay for it. I mean, I know it's a new feature and everything, but it shouldn't be something you have to pay for. It should have been just something that would be included as an update.
Oh, Lord, y'all are making me want to play so many different downloadable games now. It's
Well, I've tried
ridiculous.
Scott
Ugh.
Pilgrim. That's a multiplayer game. It's hard to play by yourself. That it also has a lot of RPG elements too, so it takes a lot of time to get into.
TMNT. It's like TMNT. You don't want to play that game alone.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of beat 'em ups are like that.
Yeah.
Which then again, I think that game was heavily TMNT inspired, by the way. So.
It had a lot of different inspirations, but the fighting
Castle Crashers.
combat, yeah. Those beat 'em ups kind
I
of
don't know, I got
go
more of
with
a Streets of
TMNT.
Rage vibe from it.
Streets of Rage, I get a little bit more in certain areas. That's about it.
I never really played much of Streets of Rage, believe it or not. I did play Final Fight though a little bit when I was.
Play a little bit of Streets of Rage 2. I just didn't get that far into it until I put it down. I want to probably come back and
Like,
play with someone else, just to make it a little
Like
easier.
I don't know. I feel like TMNT 4 spoiled me honestly because when I go to play games like Golden Axe or Streets of Rage, I feel they're too simple for my taste.
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
And for goodness sake, the next game I'm playing on LPing on my channel is a beat 'em up. So how about that? I'm not doing a platformer on here or on my channel next.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Wow.
Variants.
I mean, I know we do a lot of platformers on this channel, but I think you guys are kind of figuring out what a lot of our favorite genres are at
Well,
this rate.
Well, to be honest, I don't even think Oddworld is technically considered.
It's an action adventure puzzle game, exactly.
Yeah, it's more action adventure and puzzle than platformer. It just has some platforming elements. Well, a lot of action adventure games have that.
And so the hero learned to accept.
But now we have the
power
Dark
of
Spirit, so
darkness,
we're able to finally
which was
use our
not
dark
evil.
power, just like we did in the
There is
intro.
evil in the brightness
And now we'll be able to
of
start
the
swapping
sky,
between red and blue
use it
and have
as
the
a
main
shield
mechanic be
against
used.
Moon's own
Yeah.
creation.
So, since I missed the first 2 parts, what is going on exactly in terms of plot?
Basically, just to sum it up real quick, we're just trying to gather these different powers to stop the Sisters, which is the main villain of this game. That's what we're really doing. So we're using a light spirit and a dark spirit to have enough power to actually fight them. Because
So get
they're
plot
light and
MacGuffin
dark.
to beat. So get the plot MacGuffin to beat the bad guy.
Which mainly your plot MacGuffin is the light spirit and the dark spirit that we have now.
Yeah, and
But there are
everything
more
else
powers
is
we
just
need.
skills that you can use that just better enhance your
Red-
athleticism
Red
and
only,
ability.
red only, blue only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
And just to confirm, with the sisters, don't mistake them for Rhyme and Reason from I've forgotten the name of the book already. Good grief. The Phantom Tollbooth, that's the one.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was the Magic Soul Booth. Oh.
No, it's the funny thing because when I heard that the final boss was the two sisters, I'm just going, is it rhyme and reason from the Phantom Tollbooth? And they're like, no. There is no rhyme or reason.
In a sense, you
Please,
kind
I
of think
only
of
know
them
it
going
from the
yin yang.
movie.
If it's the final
And
boss,
I
there is
watched
no
the
rhyme
movie
or
like
reason.
20 times when I was a kid.
So,
Yes?
what's the deal with the character changing between so many different colors?
That's the light and dark spirit. You gotta keep on swapping between them. So,
Oh,
light
okay.
is the blue, and the dark is the red.
Red only, blue only.
That's the main gimmick
Well.
of the game. So that, just like I said, that's the gimmick that you would use in Ikaruga if you played that. Which is why when you see me fight red enemies, I'll be blue, and when I'm fighting blue enemies, I'm being red, so I can actually attack them.
So so it's basically like a weakness system in a way.
In a sense, yeah, because you cannot attack them as their same color. They're weak to the opposite.
Well, so far I'm already liking the combat-oriented.
Yeah, the combat in this
gameplay.
game is really good, and it's really smooth. And to make
Yeah, it
matters
feels
even
very
better,
ninja.
you can actually stun enemies really easily. If they're really
I mean, it
easy to
looks-
stun, then you can just whack them with an uppercut attack or just slam on them, and they'll get stunned,
Like, it
which
looks-
is easy to take them out.
It looks simple, but at the same time not to the point of where it's repetitive hack and slash.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which is the one thing I was kind of worried about when we got to this, because it's not a repetitive hack and slasher. At the same time, throughout the game, you're doing basically kind of the same thing. So for commentary's
Because we
sake,
all
I wasn't
know-
sure how interesting it was going to be.
Because as we all know, we did play a game like that once.
Yeah,
and,
our playthrough of X-Blades was kind of like that. It was all kind of the same from the beginning. I didn't want to have this to be the same thing. Luckily, though, it's
It
more
is again
varied,
the big hurdle you need to overcome when you decide to do an RPG Let's Play.
yeah, which is why a lot of those you have a lot of heavy edits to get rid of some of
Yeah.
those monotonous points.
But again,
Well-
there is always the case of I had to go through these random battles. We're doing this live. You kind of have to put up with this, otherwise the commentary is going to be segmented to all fudge.
Yeah,
And do you want that? No, not particularly.
which is why probably when we do
Well, it
RPGs,
has
it's
its
going to
own
be post.
charm.
I think, well, by now, I think we should let everybody know this. We have decided to start doing RPG Let's Plays in the future.
Yeah. But like I said,
Wait,
it's
we
probably
have?
just going to be...
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, again,
it's probably just
I'm
going to
getting
be post,
Final
though.
Fantasy eventually. When, you know, I have a hard drive that I can put all of the RAWs on. Because
Yeah.
I don't have the disk space to record it.
Exactly.
I kind of can't
More
record a game
RPGs
when there's
than
no
Final
disk
Fantasy,
space.
guys.
I'm not playing Final Fantasy. I'm playing Tales of Eternity or something.
And I'll probably get
Okay.
around to doing one of the Pokemons eventually, just not anytime
Yeah.
soon.
I mean, again, FF7 is the game we started this channel on. We're going to finish it. And it's probably going to be a one-off for the channel, considering how much time that game itself will take.
Yeah,
Are we
because the
still
game's going to be
waiting
100
for us
plus
to get
parts.
to? Are we still waiting to get to that certain subscriber milestone before doing it, though?
Well, my original plan was I was going to start doing it when I reached 500 subscribers. I did that last week. But I still don't have the disk space to do that, so... Again, it'll come to when it's more convenient.
Wait, I just...
And don't worry, I
I've
will
been
let you
checking
guys know
channels.
when I get to that
You
stage.
reached 500 already?
Apparently.
Oh, wow.
I know,
I'm kind
I
of
didn't even
surprised
notice
actually
it
that too.
happened. I
Yeah.
didn't even notice it happened.
Yeah. You know what's the funny thing?
Um,
Back in the day when we were all first meeting each other, you and me were kind of like steady in the same subscribers, and now you're way farther ahead of me.
Which feels
I've been stuck in the
weird.
same number for like 3-4 weeks all the time.
Really?
And I'm
Yeah.
the
Tried
number
3 years.
1600.
Yeah, no, I know. Yours is worse.
Oh, okay.
I'm starting to feel that kind of way, so I know how you mean. I know how you mean. I also know how the English.
Well,
I know how you
think-
mean. I'm not looking the likes of this.
I
What?
think the only other person who owns Final Fantasy VII at this rate, other than that, is me. But
Yeah.
I'm not willing. I'm not willing to go play through that game again. I'm sorry. I'm just not.
That's fine. Again, well,
Like-
I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's something you really have
Like-
to get into, and that's hard to do for
Like
longer
it-
RPGs
it's-
like that.
It's worth experimenting with, but like I enjoyed the story and the soundtrack, but the materia system was just not for me.
That's the funny thing, though, because I go back to that game and I just love the magic system because it's so intuitive. to me, honestly. Then again,
The story, not the battle system.
I've never
I mean,
liked
I have to
Pokemon
be
games.
one of those people who are different about it because I'm actually kind of like the characters and stuff in
Mm,
the game. So,
yeah. I love the story in that game.
like that'd be like the story and the soundtrack would be like the only reason I go back to play it.
Oh, yes.
I know a lot of people rag on some of those stories for no reason. So, from what I've been seeing as of more recently, a lot of people have just been just bashing on 7 just because. There's no real reason. They've just been doing it to fit in.
But, like, people always praise it, but they don't say why. I'm like, we do.
Yeah.
We say why.
If I praise a game, I'll say why. If I hate a game, I'll say why. I won't just leave it saying, oh, I like this because I like it.
I'm not big on it, but I have my reasons as to why I'm not highly keen on it.
Exactly.
And, I mean, yes, I will play other Final Fantasies, but I'm always going to be partial to 7 because it's the first RPG I ever played.
That's how I kind of
Yes,
handle
before I
other
even played a
RPGs
Pokemon
too.
game. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I think the only real Pokemon game I could actually go back to on a more constant basis would be the original first generation, and to be more exact, Fire Red or Leaf Green because of the better mechanics and bug fixes and everything. It's hard to go back
Again,
to other ones when you're set on one game.
Again, I need to go back to Heart Gold, but I need to fix up my Pokewalker because it
Yeah,
kind of went
I
flat
actually
on
want to
me.
replay that, but because how Pokemon games can only allow you to save on one save system on cartridge, I don't want to erase it, so I'm kind of stuck. And playing on emulator is always bad because it just slows way down. Like during the battle animations, like you win, here's your experience, and it takes you like 2 minutes to get 5 experience points.
Yeah, the biggest problem is, again, DS emulators do have their own problems.
Even the flashcard versions that can do it on the actual hardware still have a lot of bugs.
You
I'm
know,
still so surprised how old the DS is by now.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost a decade old.
going back
9 years.
Going back on the topic of the game for a moment, honestly, I would say that the whole switching between different light and darkness things would be kind of annoying somewhat because of the different weaknesses. But since you can do it on the fly, I think it actually works kind of well. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, the only time it really gets
Definitely.
annoying is when you have to do it really fast. So if you're not good with concentrating and you can't really do it on the fly, that's when I would say it starts getting annoying. Because later
It's
on
the
they
same
kind of
kind of
require you to do
problem.
that, but that's about it.
It's the same kind of problem that platformers have when you add in a guarding element.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think for like those platforms, for example, it adds in a lot of skill for your reflexes.
Same for these ones here, because you can't traverse unless you're the other color, so it kind of gives you a puzzle element too in your platformer.
No, I think.
Well, kind of,
reflex
because
and
there's stuff
puzzle,
like this coming up, where if you just gun it, then you'll get hurt, but if you wait, you'll be fine. There are other moments in the game that actually do this, but if you have good timing, you could just kind of tank it or just make it through without getting hit. I just say tank it.
Patience is rewarded.
Your patience will be rewarded, but at the same time, there's a checkpoint right there. So if you die, then you're screwed. But if you make it through there with enough hearts, just hit the checkpoint, you'll be fine. Which is usually the case. But anyways, we got a new special ability, which introduced that little feature in the game, but the first special ability is not that useful because it's used to stun enemies, but only certain types. It's just the weaker types, and it takes up a full bar of energy to use. So for the most part, you'll be wasting
That's a
it,
lot of
and
energy.
this is an ability you don't want to use much at all. I try to show it off just to show how this is used, but after that, I never really touched the ability again. It's just
So it could have had.
it's just
a lot more
faster to
potential.
stun the enemy by just whacking them, and not using this special.
I mean, if it's applicable
So-
during a boss, sure, but otherwise,
Yeah,
yes.
you don't
considering
use it on
the energy
bosses because
consumption.
not only are they not stunned by it, but it will do damage. It does, I think, about the same damage as you just using a normal attack. So there's no incentive to use it on bosses for that reason too.
It just has the extra paralyzing effect, and considering it takes energy, it doesn't seem all that much worth it.
That, and also later you get a better
basically-
stun attack that can actually break through their walls. And that stun attack takes no special ability to use. So you could just spam it how much you want, and it does work on some bosses.
So that stun ability would have had a lot more potential if it didn't have so many stupid restrictions on it.
Yes, that, and if there wasn't a second one in the game. Because later on, that other one, you're just going to be using way more than this.
Not that you use this one at all, really. but,
Yeah, this one is
Just
just
the
here
once.
for just the once, and that is it.